Hi guys, this is Marius from TradeMate Sports, and we are bringing you another episode of our weekly football podcast.
Yes, mate. Good to be back once again. We'll kick things off with the weekly quiz question, as always. This week, which player holds the record for the most goals in consecutive Premier League games?
Ooh, that's a tricky one. We'll need to think about that one and give my view towards the end, but that can be a lot of players. There's been some amazing goal scorers both in recent years and in the past too.
Yeah, well, last week we had a bit of a goal scoring theme with who scored the most goals, top 3 goal scorers in Premier League history. So, I know I'm not going to give you a hint, but I think it'll be fun to see. I think a lot of people will be surprised by the answer.
Then I know from what Alex is saying that it can't be a recent player. So that was a good hint.
Yeah. But yeah, mate, lots going on in the world of football. As always, another big round of EPL games. 2, in fact, and lots to talk about. I thought we'd kick things off talking about good old Manchester United, who made a massive, change turnaround in their performances with the big win over Tottenham in midweek, 2-1 victory there, and then the unthinkable away from home beating Manchester City 2-1 also.
Yeah.
So what did you think, mate?
Yeah, so I was extremely surprised that they managed to beat Manchester City. That was not a win that I saw coming. It was another clear penalty for Manchester United. No one can take that one away from them. And it was also an extremely good finish for the second goal. City managed to pull one back, but in the end it wasn't enough and United won the game, which is a fantastic achievement. The team really put in an amazing effort, and they were also playing very, very good against Tottenham early in the week. So overall, super impressive performance by them. But there's always a but, right? They got beaten on expected goals. The expected goals for this game, according to 538, were Man City 2.4 versus Man United 1.5. So that's almost a goal extra in expected goals for Manchester City. Now, part of this can obviously be down to the gameplay, like United taking the lead, not needing to go all out attack to beat Manchester City. They could just lay back a bit and take their chances when they arrived. And when you're up by a goal and in the second half and the clock is starting to wind down, then you don't want to take too many risks. You rather want to just make sure you keep the lead. And obviously that's going to give City a lot of possession and they create chances from possession. United not winning this game on expected goals does indicate that they might not win these type of games again in the future. Not taking away the amazing performance and the incredible result of beating Man City, because that's never easy. But it doesn't bode extremely well for Manchester United being able to replicate this, let's say, next season. So just figured I'd mention that.
Yeah, I mean, it's an incredibly impressive thing what they were able to do, beat Manchester City and Tottenham. And I think although their expected goals were down, especially in this game, they were the better side in both games. So it wasn't like they got 2 lucky goals in each game on the counter-attack or something, you know what I mean? They actually, I wouldn't say they dominated, but they were the better team in both games. So I think that's the most impressive thing out of all of it, because you can, in big games, in any game of football, you can win a game through, not playing that well and just, getting a couple lucky goals in. But really impressive the way Ollie's turned it around. His biggest test, as you were saying, it's probably going to come in the next couple of weeks because lately, their form has shown that they can beat the big teams or at least be very competitive with them. It's been the smaller teams that they've struggled against because they've been trying. It seems like this counter-attacking way of playing is really suiting them.
Yeah.
And that doesn't really work too well against those smaller teams. It's not as effective. So...
they're just happy to sit back and take a draw, right? So
exactly. So we'll see. It'll be very interesting to see how he goes in the next couple of weeks. There's lots of people saying that Ollie's job should be safe now, which is a fair enough statement considering he just beat 2 of the better teams in the league. But to be honest, I don't think it should be safe. I do think that he has to prove himself in all games, and you can't just take 2 results and think, okay, yeah, he's good enough. Let's keep going with him now. I think he still has a lot to prove, and his test will come through December.
Yeah,
I think at the end of December we can make a way better judgment as to whether he's the right man for the job. At the moment, it's good. He's made a good turnaround, and he looks to have regained a lot more popularity with the fans and the people surrounding the game. But yeah, his biggest test, I think, will come through December. And if he can get through some of those lesser teams which he's been struggling against, then I think, yeah, he might be the man to stay at Manchester United.
Yeah, I think that perception has definitely changed a lot for me over just these 2 games. Well, he is the right man to take Manchester United some steps forward, because they have a pretty big rebuilding job still to be done. Like, they're in the process now with the signings they made this summer, but there's still lots to be done before they are anywhere near like fighting and actually winning the Premier League again. They need to make some pretty big improvements in the team, but they do have some very good players. Like Marcus Rashford has been on fire lately, scoring goals, some beautiful finishes. He has a wonderful foot, and his finishing ability is extremely good. And the pace of James on the right hand side is fantastic to have, especially on the counter. So that's probably one of the big reasons why they thrive so much in games like this. Martial, I think he always looks dangerous. He hasn't gotten still like the full potential out of him, because he does some things that very few players in the world are able to do.
Yeah, definitely.
So just that amazing dribbling ability to beat a man, which is pretty rare these days, I'd say. Like, most players just try to pass it instead and don't really like challenge the man one-on-one. But Martial is just one of the best in the world at doing that. So
yeah, most of the games he's been involved this year, they've performed a lot better.
Yeah.
They really struggled when he was injured.
Yeah.
I'm looking at some of their games coming up, and you've got Everton this weekend coming up. You've got Watford a week after that. You've got Newcastle and Burnley after that too. So there's 4 games in a row in the Premier League, lesser sides. The old Manchester United would not need, but they want 12 points from that.
Yeah.
So obviously they're not the old Manchester United, but for Ollie to prove himself and prove that those 2 games weren't just because they were from bigger teams who you can play that counter-attacking style against, he'll need to get a lot of points from these next 4 games coming up in the Premier League to prove himself.
Exactly. And also good, over the next 3 games, they will be halfway in the Premier League, so then they will have played every single team in the league.
Yeah.
So that does give a pretty good indication. Did you have the games here? Because I did want to just have a very quick look at how because they have had some amazing results against the top teams, but they've also played Chelsea at home.
Yeah, 4-0.
And then they played Leicester at home too. And now they managed to beat Man City away, obviously, which is pretty great. So is this the League 2? Arsenal 1-1?
Yeah, 1-1 at home against Arsenal, 1-1 at home against Liverpool, and also
So that is actually like a pretty big factor. Despite them performing extremely well against the top teams, they have played everyone but Man City at home so far.
Mm. Yeah,
even Tottenham too. So they are going to get those games away in the second half of the season. So we'll see then by the end of it whether Solskjær's track record against the top teams is still as impressive as it's been in this first half.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
All right, let's move on then.
Yeah, you'll talk about your beloved Liverpool, another win on the weekend, 3-0. I think the most impressive thing is that it was like literally the opposite team. They played against Everton in midweek.
Yeah.
They just Klopp's rotating the squad so beautifully. And it's funny considering you've got Manchester City on the other hand, who have a far superior squad, you would think. And they are really struggling at the moment. But Klopp just seems to be, his squad rotations just, he's proving to be masterful at the moment with that. Yeah,
it seems like no matter who he puts into the team, they have an amazing game and really contribute to us getting the win. This week it was Naby Keita I think it was his first start in the Premier League this season, and he got a goal and an assist, and that was a beautiful goal, absolutely fantastic, phenomenal back heel from Salah to put him through, and then he makes a beautiful pass through ball to Salah, who finishes it off one-on-one. So
that ball was lovely.
Yeah, two amazing goals, and he was just brilliant in this game. Also, Ox got another goal from a fantastic long-range pass from Henderson. That's his first in the Premier League. He's been scoring a couple of goals in the Champions League, and overall, he's been looking very dangerous when he's been playing. So very happy for Ox overall that he's able to come back after that horrific injury he has, and has such a big impact on our team and is scoring goals from midfield. Although he did play as a left winger this particular game, but in general he's been playing in midfield and really contributing to making our team more dangerous. A bit worrying that Lovren went off with what looked like an injury. Klopp said it wasn't too serious, but if he's going out after 40 minutes, then I would be very surprised to see him start, at least in the Champions League this week.
Yeah, well, you've also got Matip out at the moment and Fabinho, and that's also just adds to how good they're going. That they've had injuries, especially to a key player like Fabinho, and it's just the train keeps rolling. So yeah, really impressive.
Yeah, and Matip is going to be out for some time more. Like they said, in 2-3 weeks we'll know more about his situation, and there's a lot of games to be played over the next 2 weeks.
Couldn't happen at a worse time.
No, it's not ideal that he's out further, and then Lovren getting injured, so that leaves us with Gomez and Van Dijk. But I'm pretty happy to have Gomez get another shot in the center of defense, because the other guys, Matip and Lovren, could really struggle to put him out of the team again if he can get going. Because last season, before he broke his leg against Burnley, around these times, it was like in the December period, he just looked totally amazing. And this season so far, he's not been playing too good. So I really hope that he finds his feet and is able to claw his way back into the team, because I think his potential is still amazing. Yeah. He has so much pace for a centre back, which just makes him and Van Dijk an incredible pairing, because nobody can outrun them. So that's a very good combo. So yeah, overall, every time we play Bournemouth, I always think we're going to win with a couple of goals, because they're one of the teams who try to play football against us, and teams who try to play football against Liverpool, they get destroyed. Yeah. And that happened again this weekend, and it was extremely comfortable win. The players were just taking the gas off the pedal in the second half and just passing the ball around for like 5 to 10 minutes straight. Yeah. So yeah, very, very comfortable for Liverpool. Bournemouth were extremely unlucky though that Nathan Ake got injured first, and like a couple of minutes after he went out, that's when Liverpool scored their first goal, and then Callum Wilson went off with an injury too. So they're really, really not in a good situation right now. Harry Wilson can play against Liverpool, but at least he will be back in the team next week. So then it will probably be Dom Solanke and Harry Wilson on top against Chelsea. Yeah. So that will be very interesting.
Yeah, no, they're not having a good run of form with injuries at the moment, are they? I guess the biggest question for you, mate, is obviously Liverpool are 8 points ahead now at the top of the league. So the title looks like it's coming your way. But I think the great thing about this is we can start having a talk about a possible invincible season. What do you think?
I mean, we are now at 33 games in the Premier League, unbeaten. So that's a club record. We beat it this weekend. So that's pretty incredible. Yeah. I think that they will be able to keep it up until they play Manchester City next. So I'm not sure how many games into the season that is, but I think we're going to go past 40 and catching up with Arsenal, which I think is at either 51 or 53, which is just absolutely insane. We almost need to get twice the amount of unbeaten games that we have currently, and that's a club record. So that one's going to be tricky. Then we can't lose again this season. Yeah, we need to get through it all. I think they can do it, but it's always tough. I mean, you just need like one bad decision to go to the other team's favor, like a penalty or something when you're having a bad game, and that can be the difference between a win or a loss. So you need to have a little bit of luck in order to pull off a new unbeaten record in the Premier League.
Yeah, well, we're nearly halfway through the season. There's so many games left. So, yeah, I mean, if you're a betting man, you're probably going to say no, it's probably not going to happen, but it could. It would be pretty cool if it happened. Actually, no, not for me, actually, no. I want Arsenal to keep that title. If we need one title at the moment.
Yeah.
But, yeah, mate, so they're doing well. And at the opposite end of the scale, you've got Manchester City with lots of problems. And I think this is quite interesting because for this whole season, people have been going on about how it's, Manchester City's problems are because of their defence, which is obviously completely true. But it has to be more than that now, because you cannot tell me that Manchester City, for as good a squad that they have, compared to, let's just say, a side like Leicester City, who are, I don't know, maybe 6 points ahead of them now, like well ahead of them. You cannot tell me that they have a better squad than Manchester City and then blame it on the fact that they're missing one or two defenders.
Yeah, no, I mean, the rest of the team, I just don't get how they're able to lose this many games with the attack and midfield that they have. Because with that attack and midfield, they should be outscoring teams.
Yeah.
So I think that's sort of the elephant in the room right now, that why are not all these amazing attackers? Because you're going to concede like a goal a game at least when the defense is as shaky as it has been. But why is not this amazing attack able to then score 2 goals, 3 goals, 4 goals or more?
Yeah.
And that just really surprises me that they've been losing so many points this season when they looked totally unbeatable almost last season. So
it just seems like their big players aren't playing as well as they used to, like the likes of David Silva. Bernardo Silva's been not as great. Who else is there? I mean, they're playing
Aguero's been injured lately.
That's what I was going to say. They're playing Gabriel Jesus a lot more, and he doesn't seem like he's as good as Aguero. I mean, he hasn't really come on leaps and bounds like they probably would have hoped so.
Well, I mean, Aguero is the guy with the most goals per minute in the Premier League history, so it is pretty tough to replace him. Has scored 2 beautiful goals, not this game round, but last. So he does have some potential, but still he's way off Sergio Aguero. And if he will ever get there, time will tell. But I wouldn't put my money on it. I still think he can be a very good player. But Aguero level, I haven't seen anything so far, which indicates that he has that ability in him.
Yeah. Now, and you also got Sterling. He doesn't seem to be... And he seems a bit frustrated. I mean, it was kind of very evident when he had that spat with Joe Gomez on the pitch, and then obviously after in the England training. But I don't know. They just it seems like it'll be actually really interesting to see what they do in January. Whether they start spending some money to try and reinvigorate the squad, or whether they wait till next season. Because they need something going into the Champions League. It's a very important competition for them right now.
Yeah.
The Premier League's done and dusted. You can say that, I think, pretty confidently now. They need to. So the Champions League's their big one. So it'll be interesting to see if they force any transfers through during January.
Yeah, I think the part that really surprised me the most is that Raheem Sterling has not gotten more goals so far this season, because I think he is one of the absolute best players in the Premier League. So it just really surprises me that he's been so underperforming so far, because he had a very good start, and then it's just been almost no goals or assists lately. And it really surprises me. I can't really see which transfers they would make to improve the attack. They should definitely consider getting in another central defender, because they don't seem to properly trust Otamendi anymore. He scored this weekend, but he's not starting. They're playing midfielders in center defense ahead of him.
Yeah.
So that kind of tells you that they don't rate him too much. So I would not be very surprised to see Man City go out there and sign a central defender, because they still haven't properly replaced Company, and it looks like they want to get rid of, or at least not play, Otamendi. So then it makes complete sense for them to go out and buy another central defender. But besides that, I don't really know what I would change. They have double up on both of the side backs. At least when Angelino played against Liverpool, he was a pretty good player. And on the right-hand side, they have both Walker and Cancelo, which are amazing. John Stones, I think, would look fantastic in pretty much every single other team, and put him with a good partner, and he's also pretty good at City, so can't really replace him. Maybe push him back as the third choice centre back by buying a better one, but he's staying for sure. And then midfield, I don't really know what I would change. So.
I'd like to see Foden get some more chances. Actually, I think just mix it up a bit if I was Pep, and just put in a youngster like Foden in there just to give him a chance, give him some game time, because he hasn't really got that lately. And just kind of put the other players on notice, I think, would be more of the tactic, to be like, someone like a Gundogan or a Rodrigo, something like that. Just be like, you know what, your place is not assured in this team, and we're going through a bad patch. I'm going to give this young kid a go, so you're on notice. Like, you need to start performing. I think that's the only way he can really go about it at the moment, because if he keeps it the same, he's just relying on their talent, and it looks like they just need a bit of a shake-up, just a little slap in the face or something like that, and just wake them up a bit. So, it will be big month coming up for every team in the Premier League with a large schedule. So it's going to be really interesting to see what Pep decides to do with his team, Manchester City. So now it kind of leaves Leicester City is basically the only team, I would say, that are a chance of catching Liverpool, which is just crazy to say. I mean, do you think there are any hope? I actually really rate their chances, mate. I know you're not going to like what I'm saying, but I really rate their chances. And it's mostly down to the fact that their schedule is significantly lighter than Liverpool's. Liverpool have a bit of an interesting game coming up midweek against Red Bull Salzburg. Yeah. So you would think they're going to progress through, you would think, but... crazy things can happen. If they don't,
they're definitely going to win the league.
Yeah, so. Definitely. I guess what I'm trying to say is that, if they do get through, which they probably will, and they have the FIFA World Club Championship or whatever that's called, they've got the League Cup, the FA Cup, the Premier League, and Leicester City just sit there, and all they have to do is the Premier League basically, and then a League Cup game here and there. And they're in incredible form, and Unless they have an injury like a Jamie Vardy or a Maddison or something like that, mate, I think they are a serious chance of taking you guys out.
They are one Jamie Vardy injury away from falling off completely. Who is going to replace Jamie Vardy? I mean, Nacho has been scoring some goals lately. Yeah. But that's his first 2 goals in 2 years or something. So, maybe this is his moment to shine if Vardy picks up an injury. And of course, them just playing 1 game a week obviously helps a lot in terms of not picking up injuries. So I think Klopp said something like Vardy can spend his Tuesdays and Wednesdays on the couch without having to play. So of course, he's fit for the weekend and scoring goals every week. Yeah. But I do think that they have an incredibly strong first 11, Leicester City. A lot of good players there who could play for pretty much any other side in the Premier League. Pereira's been amazing. Soyuncu, if I don't butcher his name completely, has been very good too, coming in and replacing Maguire and making them not miss Maguire. Kasper Schmeichel, obviously he's won the Premier League before and is a pretty good goalkeeper. And then James Maddison, I think, is an incredible football player. Tielemans is amazing in midfield, and Ndidi is the ball winner. So there are some very, very good players in this team, and I don't want to take any credit away from them. Their performances this year have been absolutely amazing, and they look like they're going to finish in the top 4 for sure. Can they catch Liverpool? I'm still saying no. And,
it's most likely they won't. But I'm just saying that I think December will tell the tale, to be honest, because this is probably the most hectic month for Liverpool coming up. So if they can reduce the gap to, maybe 4, 5, 6 points somehow, I would be slightly worried.
Most likely it will be, because they're also playing each other on Boxing Day. Oh, great. Which will be an amazing game.
Oh, love it.
But Liverpool will miss a game week when they're off for the World Championship. So I think if Leicester beat City and then beat Liverpool, they will be just 2 points behind because Liverpool miss a game week. and of assuming that Leicester win the other games too. But they do play Liverpool and Manchester City within 5 days, so that's a good test. And yeah, they also need to beat Man City, which isn't easy despite Man City not being at their best. So it's going to be a very, very tough test for Leicester, and then we will see whether they're able to overcome it. Main reason why I still think that Leicester is not going to be able to catch up with Liverpool is because currently Liverpool are on course for 109 points. If you prorate it across 38 games, which would be a record, like they'll probably drop some points this season so that they won't finish with that amount of points, because that would just be absolutely insane. But they will get close to the 100 points mark. And Leicester City, last week they were on course for 86 points. This week they are on course for 90. So if they keep winning games, then it will improve their chances. But still, they need to outperform anything they have ever done, including the season they won the league by a lot. And that's asking a lot from that team and from that first 11. And if they get a couple of injuries, then which will happen at some point, then I think it's going to be tough. But we'll see. That's the fun thing about football. You never know what's going to happen. And Liverpool could lose 5 games in a row all of a sudden. Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah, so now we can talk about the great team Arsenal. At time of recording, it's Monday morning. So if this gets out before the West Ham game, that'd be great. But if not, take into account that I don't know what's happened in the West Ham game. Hopefully a victory. That would be great. But
if you can't beat West Ham, then who can you beat?
Oh, mate, we can't beat many things at the moment, so it's all right. Yeah, I guess my biggest question at the moment is when this is going to end, because it's been going on for. I mean, it's been going on since the start of the season, but we haven't won a game since I think it was the 1st of October at least.
All this suffering.
So much suffering, mate. And I mean, if you look at a side like Everton, you look at Tottenham, they were having troubles. They bring in a new manager and they had that bounce back, which normally happens most of the time, but it has not happened for Arsenal. I think it's stupid if you're not looking at Freddie Ljungberg and you're not criticising him, but just looking at him objectively and, analysing what he's done since he's come in. Because his main quote when he came in was that I don't want to change it up too much. Like he basically, from what I could gather from his words, he's like, I'm pretty inexperienced. I'm not, I haven't got all this Premier League experience behind me. I'm not going to come in and completely shift what's going on. I'm just going to try and mix a few things up and see if I can get a little lift out of the players. And at the time, I was like, oh, yeah, I mean, this sounds like a reasonably smart thing to do because he hasn't got all that experience in the world. But now I'm looking at it and thinking like, mate, you've literally got one of the worst performing Arsenal sides in history, and you're saying that you don't want to change too much. Like, that's exactly what they need. They need all the change in the world. So I am questioning Freddie a bit. It seems like he is slightly out of his depth. And I think tonight will be interesting to see what he does. In terms of how they're playing, like we said last week, he hasn't had many training sessions. So you can't expect them to be this reformed defensive line and be attacking, like the old Arsenal. But you can expect him to come out with a more interesting starting lineup, something different. Yeah, and work from there.
I mean, it doesn't, with the way they've been performing, it's not like it's going to hurt them more to try something new.
Oh,
so take some chances, Freddie. Just try some new stuff.
Yeah,
you can't get any worse.
I'm praying tonight. I'm going to put my neck out there, and I hope that he goes with this following team. I'm going to go with this and hope. And if they win, then I'm going to look like a genius. But I want to see Bellerin and Tierney in there. Although Kolasinac has been playing well, I just want to see Tierney in there because at least he has some end product. I'd like to see Chambers and Holding tried out in the middle. If Holding's fit, Holding's not fit, I'd go with Socrates, as unpopular as that is probably. I think Xhaka and Torreira are actually a decent combination as like a holding midfield. I don't know why I'm picking Xhaka, but he's actually been playing all right. I'd have Ozil in front of them, and then on either side of Ozil, I would have Pepe and Martinelli. And I've had Orba up front with Laka on the bench, which is probably quite controversial, but I think they need to find a way of putting Auber up front because he's getting lost on the wing at the moment with Laka in the side. Laka, I think he's been playing pretty poorly, to be honest, lately.
He has been scoring some goals, though.
He's been scoring goals, but to be honest, mate, he's been playing poorly other than that. He scored a header on the weekend from set piece, but other than that, in that game, he was terrible, like absolutely shocking. So, yeah, mate, that's the starting lineup I'd like to see. I just want us to go all-out attack. I don't care about the defence anymore. I honestly don't. Yeah. It's going to be bad either way, whoever they put in the team. Just score some goals, please. Score some goals.
Did you say you had Ozil in the team?
Yeah, I'd put Ozil hasn't been playing that well either, to be honest. Like, I think he's caught up with him a bit. Yeah. I think he's looking a bit old and like his touch.
Yeah,
doesn't look like it's like his passing hasn't been as good as it has been over the years. He still gets into brilliant areas. It's more so like his finished product at the moment. He just doesn't look as sharp as he has been throughout his career. So I don't know if that's age or
maybe not playing for ages.
Yeah, that's another good point. But yeah, I mean, please, come on, Freddie, just give us some attacking football. You can concede 5 goals. You can get 6 goals.
Yeah, they could get 5 goals against Liverpool at least. So, yeah,
we'll see.
Play Martinelli. That's the secret.
Yeah, I'd love to see Martinelli get a start in the Premier League. He's obviously played a lot of Europa League games and Cup games starting. He hasn't started a Premier League game yet.
Yeah.
I really want to see him. I love him. I think his energy is it's infectious. I really want to see him start. So
what do you think about Pepe then? Is he out of the picture now? Is he not good enough, or how do you see him fitting in?
His I would say overall, he hasn't been as good as we would want him to be, obviously. I don't think our style of play has suited him at all. Most of the time when he gets the ball, he's facing our goal and not the opposition's goal. I find it really interesting that his best performance for Arsenal has been against Liverpool, where we've basically played like a counter-attacking game and just sat back. So in terms of how he's going, I would say it's obviously not great. But I would like to see him in that setup I just said, and see how he goes with that. But I think in terms of the signing of Pepe, I think we need to be looking at the likes of Raul Sanelli, like the football manager, and thinking, what were they thinking when they signed Pepe? Because Arsenal over the years have not played a counter-attacking kind of game ever. Yeah. And if they're going to sign Pepe, what were they thinking? Were they thinking that he could just fit into a setup like that, where they play a possession-based kind of style of play, or were they thinking that the way forward for Arsenal is a counter-attacking style, and that they think he can fit into that? But at the moment, I'm really questioning it because, I've heard a lot of Lille fans say that like all of his goals are through counter-attack last season.
And penalties.
Yeah, exactly. And his 3 goals that he scored for Arsenal this year, 2 from 3 kicks and 1 from the penalty spot. So, it's looking like it was maybe not a smart... He's a good player.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a smart signing in terms of the type of team. Like he probably suits... if someone like a Manchester United, he might suit more because they're playing more of a counter-attacking style. Like, so at the moment, it's looking like maybe he's not playing at the right club. But mate, I hope he turns it around because he has these moments in games like, geez, that was a good touch, or that was an incredible piece of play. You got to give him more time. So I don't want to judge him yet. Not yet.
All right, it will be interesting to see. It is always tricky when you're coming into a new league like the Premier League to make that adaptation, and one thing Liverpool have been doing very well is being very patient with the new signings. So I think that's very important. Not as fans, don't give up on the players because this isn't easy. Like
No.
you need to give them time and space, and don't label them as a flop just because they don't score hat tricks every week in the beginning.
And there's so many examples of that. Salah being one, flopped at Chelsea, came back, and he's just about one of the best players in the world. So there's your prime example. Yeah,
I've been making a bit fun with my mates about that, about them giving up, and he's like, well, when Salah was at Chelsea, he was just the worst player in our team. So, of course, he didn't play. And, of course, we sold him because he was just terrible. So it's incredible how things can change in football.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, we'll talk about Tottenham. Son scored what could possibly be the goal of the season in the Premier League this year. Absolutely amazing run from his own 16-yard box and or 16-meter box, and running all over the pitch and scoring the goal. Absolutely insane. Tottenham won 5-0. Mourinho's been off to a fantastic start as a manager despite losing against Solskjær and Man United. So he really looks like he's reinvigorated the squad and got them back to the winning ways with Kane and Son and Dele Alli all firing. So
yeah, no, it's an incredible goal, mate. I really rate. We said this last week, but Son is incredibly underrated. I think in the Premier League, he's a great player, and it'll be interesting to see how they keep going, Tottenham.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, something that got us upset fired from the week. I'll kick us off. I'll go really quick with this one. Arsenal's manager search. It's obviously been going probably for about a week and a half now. I mean, you can't really read too much into the reports. You don't, know how accurate they are. But it seems like they've come up with a long list of about 15 candidates, and it's just frustrating. Like, it's, for me, as I've said a lot on this podcast, like, it's just a small club mentality. I think like coming up with 15 candidates. Like, seriously, like. I feel like that's the first step you do. Like, for half an hour, you sit down like, who could we get?
Yeah.
You write down 15 names, but then within a day, you probably shorten that down to 1, 2, 3, I would say.
And start contacting them after you fire your manager.
Exactly. Like, they should. There's a couple managers out there that are obvious choices. Pochettino. There seems to be trouble with Simeone at Atletico Madrid. They're not going to get Rodgers now. So I'd be looking at those kind of two managers that I said before, and chase them. Don't think, I might not get Pochettino or Simeone, so I'm gonna, start contacting Mikel Arteta's agents too, like whatever.
Go all in on one, the one you decide for.
Because Pochettino, let's just say Pochettino, he's by far the best candidate. Simeone's the only one that I think that rivals that. But you cannot tell me that there's a logical reason for picking Mikel Arteta over Pochettino. You cannot tell me that. So just go in for Pochettino, see if it works out. Yeah, talk to Mikel Arteta's agents on the side and see if he's interested. But just focus on one person and don't put all these feelers out there for everyone.
Yeah, as much as I rate Simeone, I don't think he's the one you should go for because his style just doesn't fit the overall like Arsenal historical ethos of playing like attacking football and everything. He's defense first and very good at it. But yeah, that's also a thing you should consider when you're bringing the manager. Does they fit the strategy that you want to put in place? And a lot of teams seem to fail on that, even though it should be a very basic strategy lesson.
Yeah.
So.
All right, mate, and what's got you upset this week?
The media narrative that Liverpool are lucky. 32 games, unbeaten, club record. They scored the third most points ever in the history of the Premier League last season when they finished second. Any other year, they would have won the league, besides the year before when City won it. This year, they have had 16 different goal scorers. They have had the best goalkeeper injured for most of the season. He also picked up a red card, so he's missed the majority of games so far. Matip's been out for at least a month now. Maybe more. Time goes by so fast. He's going to miss probably another month before he's back into action. And then Lovren just walked off injured. Naby Keita got his first Premier League game now because he's been struggling with injuries. Oxlade's still getting back into shape from his season out injury. Salah got tackled horribly against Leicester and got injured and had to play with that injury for weeks and basically didn't score any goals during that time period. So it's not like we haven't had injuries either. Manchester United have had twice as many penalties as us, despite having less possession, less attacks and everything. So that's pretty weird. But this isn't a lucky team. They are where they are on merit. And yeah, maybe some of the games could have ended with a draw so that they didn't win just as many games, but they still would have been top pretty much no matter what happened in terms of luck or VAR or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're not getting the penalties they're supposed to go, even if you think that money is going down lightly. And by the way, Daniel James does that a lot too. So that's just my comments.
Yeah, no, they're not lucky, mate. They're an incredible team. All right, trading places, mate. This week you are Jadon Sancho, the hottest prospect just about in the world of football. Looks like he's going to leave in mid-year next year in the transfer window. If you're Jadon Sancho, where do you want to go? I'm assuming you probably want to go to England.
Yeah.
So we'll limit it to that. Where in England would you go?
Yeah, so I really love this one. I think it's a super cool and very interesting question, and it's going to be extremely fascinating to see how this plays out over the summer. I would very much love to see him at Liverpool, getting in that 19-year-old English winger who's going to be your main man for the next 10 years. Would be amazing, but at the same time, I can't really see us spending 100 million on a player when we already have Salah and Mane playing in those positions. He wouldn't be a first choice for us. So I can't really see him going to Liverpool. And I also want to touch upon, apparently he went on strike for City when he went to Dortmund. And now he's been missing training practices again for Dortmund.
He's got a bit of attitude.
Yeah, so I'm not entirely convinced he's the sort of player you want to have in your team if that's how it's going to be.
Especially for the price he's going to ask.
Yeah, so that's a big red flag for me. And we'll see whether he doesn't, like, if he doesn't have any problems for the rest of his career, then fantastic. It was just some trying to position himself and get to the right club at the right moment, but he does now seem to have a bit of a track record of not behaving properly. So we'll see. But yeah, back to where he's going. So I guess Manchester United want him, but if I was Jadon Sancho, would I really want to go to a club who is most likely not going to be in the Champions League? And obviously they can offer me a lot of money, but I want to play in the Champions League. So I would find it very difficult to go to Manchester United unless they put an absolute ridiculous amount of cash in front of me. So I'm kind of a bit on the hold of Manchester United. I want to see how their season plays out and how good they are. If they miss out on the Champions League by just a couple of points and they're on a very good upwards trajectory, then I could see that as being a very likely destination. But if they are still moving up and down between 6th and 8th and 10th and whatever, also at the end of the season, then I would find it very, very, I would be very surprised if that's the move he makes. Then Chelsea could be interesting. They have a very good English team project going on.
Yeah.
That's somewhere where he could play too. The tricky part there is that Dortmund sold Pulisic because they wanted to play Sancho as the right winger. So will he then go to Chelsea to put Pulisic out of the team again? It would be pretty weird of Chelsea to buy another right winger when they just bought Pulisic. And
yeah, it doesn't seem like it makes a sense for Chelsea to sign him, especially for the money. I mean, it makes sense, obviously. He's a great player. But for the money, I don't think so. I think you can narrow it down to two destinations. It's probably going to be Manchester United or Chelsea, I would say. I don't know. It'll be which team out of them is going to make the Champions League will probably dictate a lot of it. Yeah.
And then it could be going back to Manchester City, actually, too.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, they also have a lot of talent there, like Raheem Sterling, Bernardo Silva, Riyad Mahrez.
Yeah.
I think for his career, I don't know if it would suit. I don't know. It's up to you, though, mate. You're Jadon Sancho.
I would very seriously consider Manchester City because Sterling plays on left and Bernardo Silva, phenomenal player, but you can also play him in midfield. And David Silva's going to leave at the end of the season, so then you could play De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva in midfield with Rodri behind them, playing me on the right winger, as that's where I want to play, and then have Aguero on top, and that would be a phenomenal team, phenomenal attack. So I could very much see myself fitting in there. So I hope Manchester City come knocking, because that's where I wanted. That's where I want to go back to City. I made a mistake leaving them in the first place, but now I'm ready to be a first team starter. So it's good for everyone.
All right.
And they also have the money to buy me. So I will definitely push very hard for City. And Sané, probably he was supposed to leave this summer, but then he tore his ACL. So he's still likely to leave this summer. And then I come in and get the spots, and Marius is still on the bench where he's been a majority of the season and will most likely remain.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you were Paul Pogba, what would you do this summer?
I don't like Paul Pogba. I'm just going to state that to start off. I feel like he's like quite similar to Sancho. Oh, I mean, it's probably a bit of an audacious claim to say similar to Sancho. I just mean like they seem like they both have a bit of attitude. Like they kick the toys around when they're not happy. I would leave the English Premier League. That's probably how I would sum it up in simple terms, because I just don't think Paul Pogba really suits the English game that well. He's had probably like a month or here and there where he's played well consistently, but other than that, he's not been worth the money he came in for Manchester United. Obviously, they haven't been going through their an amazing run of form. But yeah, I would go overseas. It seems like Real Madrid are interested in him. So that's probably where I would start off with. But yeah, even going back to Juventus, that would be quite funny if he went back there.
Yeah.
I would just leave the English Premier League and go to a big club somewhere else in Europe. I think that's the best move for me at the moment.
Yeah, and especially as they're most likely, unless they win the Europa League, not going to play Champions League football next season.
Exactly.
Paul Pogba wants to play Champions League football, so Real Madrid next. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, cool, mate. And we'll finish it off there with the quiz answer.
Yeah.
Any guesses?
Ooh.
I'll repeat the question just in case you forgot. Which player holds the record for the most goals in consecutive Premier League games?
I'm going to go Van Nistelrooy.
Okay, you are incorrect. It's as always, it's the Vardy party, mate.
Really?
Yeah, he got the record in the year that they won the league, that amazing run that they had, and he scored it in 11 games in a row. Interestingly, he is on currently, I think, 8 games in a row of scoring in the Premier League. So he needs, 4 more games, and he has broken his own record.
Yeah, and they have some easy games coming up before City and Liverpool, so good chances there. Will be very interesting to see, but that really surprised me. But there's been some great goal scorers in Premier League history. That Jamie Vardy has one of those records is still pretty surprising, despite him being a very good player. But yeah, hats off for Jamie Vardy, and let's hope he has a Christmas party.
Yeah, cool. But that brings us to the end.
Yeah, so thank you guys for watching. As always, if you like these videos that we are making and want us to make more videos like this, then give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. And if you want to check out our products, TradeMate Sports or Odds Hero, that would be awesome too. So TradeMate is a value betting software which helps you beat the bookmakers. Our customers have an average ROI of 2.5% per dollar wagered. So that's some pretty good results. In total, our customers have made more than 4 million euros in profits. And then we have Odds Hero, which is our recently launched match betting service, also from the team behind TradeMate, which is a good way to help you build your betting bankroll and doing it in a risk-free way, because match betting is totally risk-free if you're able to do it correctly, which is very easy when you follow the guides and tutorials that we make for you. That's it. And have a good weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun football this week, so enjoy.
Yep. See you guys.